Okay. Megovanen everyone. Oh no, wait. Yeah, okay. Megovanen everyone, and welcome to another My Thoughts video, but more of like a My Wish video, or yeah, just what I'm hoping will come out, a discussion video. One of my things that one of the films I was hoping that would come out on Blue was The Keep, and Vinegar Syndrome has made those dreams a reality for me, so that's really good. So there's two other things now that I'm hoping that will make it on Blu-ray. This one here, this is a 1980s show called Small Wonder. It went from 1985 to 1989. It stars Tiffany Brissett, Dick Christie. I think his name is the boy. Jamie Lawson is Jerry Susperan, I think. And this second thing is available on DVD, but it's not really a good print, even though it said it was restored. It's called The Lathe of Heaven, and it stars Bruce Davison, which is that gentleman right there. He might be more recognizable to you guys from the early 2000 X-Men films. He was Senator Kelly. But I'll start with Small Wonder. And this is a show, from the mid-'80s that Shout Factory released the first 2 seasons of on DVD, and I guess they wanted to see how well it did, and apparently I guess it didn't do very well. Not very much demand for it, and now that physical media seems to be going away, there's maybe almost no chance that Shout Factory will release the other 2 seasons, 3 and 4 on DVD. But I'm still hoping that it'll skip that, and just I have a complete collection on Blue. Hopefully one day that's going to happen. I don't know what label would be responsible for that. But this show, Small Wonder, it follows this cybernetist, or not cybernetist, cyberneticist, is that what they're called? Cyberneticist, who wants to do some sort of experimentation to see if it can be possible, but to create an android and see if they can sort of train it to integrate itself into human society. So he created that android Vicky. So they adopted her, and she took on the name, the last name, Vicky Lawson. And this is a great show. It is a comedy. There is a laugh track. Just keep in mind that it is from the 80s, and even though it's the 80s, don't expect them to, everyone, the people. There are these nosy neighbors called the Brindles. Don't expect any kind of like real life reaction from them, or the way Marla Pennington, that's her name, the way they act. It's not okay, yeah, Jerry Susperan. It is over the top kind of acting, an over exaggeration of 80s 80s reaction to things. And also keep in mind it is in the 80s, and but it's not exactly a representation of how everything was. And now I do remember this from back in the day, and as I'm watching through these episodes, I'm remembering pretty much every single one. There might be one, maybe even 2 episodes that I wasn't that I wasn't too familiar with, but for the most part, as soon as I'm watching it, within 10 15 seconds into it, I recognize it. Here come the judge, right? Jamie Lawson's best buddy, Reggie. There are guest stars in here, from this time period, such as Jesse the Body Ventura, for example. If you're wondering who he is, he starred in The Running Man and in the Predator. I believe that was him in Predator. He had the chain gun, you know, the Gatling gun, when they were in the chopper, right? With not Billy D. Williams, but oh damn, I can't remember now his name, but he was Action Jackson, right? Action Jackson. And Jesse Ventura was in the chopper, you know, they're on the chopper, and then he spits his tobacco, and it goes like on his boot or like near his foot or something. That's a real nasty habit you got there, you know, something like that. So that's him, right? But there's others. There was one of the Raiders, the football team, the Raiders. He was on there. So, you know, you have some guest stars. So that was really nice to see. And, you know, the one of the actresses in here, I forgot her name, but she played Mrs. Brindle, which I don't know why we don't really see her anymore. I didn't really take too much notice of it back in the day, but as I'm rewatching these, I'm noticing, I don't know if she just moved on or she just wanted to leave the show. We don't really see her anymore, especially here in this 4th season so far. But she's the one that says, no, 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 no. You know, her. I remember her from Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. That was like a 1988 film. So this show was, you know, Small Wonder was canceled, you know, in 89, which was the same year as The Little Mermaid, you know. So, you know, this is a show that came out before Star Trek The Next Generation, and then in 87 Star Trek Next Generation came out. So it started from before there was Star Trek Next Generation and ended after, you know, and even during the time of, you know, the rise of The Next Generation. Okay, so I really love this film and this show. It explains even how she's, you know, growing up a bit, you know, like right here, she's really small, but you see her getting bigger, and they explain that in this first episode that she's able to, you know, get big and small to account for her age. And also, yeah, I do want to delve a little bit more into it. I do remember seeing, and this is from back in the day, a special with Tiffany Brissett, who plays Vicky the robot, who acted superb in this, I thought. That she even said, you will notice that in later seasons, particularly starting in the 3rd season and the 4th, they try to make her wear different outfits, you know, to change up her attire, you know, so she kind of fits in more with the people, and injecting some small moments of emotion. You even see, like, a couple times, you know, a tear go down her cheek. So that was also very touching, and it is an off-the-wall comedy, and as I said, people don't act like this in reality, but at the same time, it's touching too. It is, I want to say it's like a family show, or a kid show, but it is more like a family show, you know, something that you can, you know, watch with them without being too much offended, I guess. But there are things in here in Small Wonder that I feel as if maybe nowadays, you know, some people might get offended by certain things. You know, like there's an episode with the sheik or the sheikh that comes to visit, and he's just a boy. You know, it's an Arabic thing. You know, so you know, I suppose, you know, it can be considered offensive. You know, and the many wives that they have, but they poke fun at, you know, almost everything. There's typically a lesson involved in these episodes too. Like one episode where I believe it was it one of the bosses or potential bosses of Ted Lawson. They came over to dinner at the Lawson's home, and they're very uppity and very like stuck up kind of people, but they're also racist. And when Reggie came over one day, to hang out with his very good friend, his best friend, Jamie. They saw that, and they made some like racist comments, and Ted Lawson got, the dad got offended and said, "You know what? You're right. Reggie is not Jamie's friend, but he is his best friend." He stood up for him and then kicked him out of the house. That racist uppity couple. There's an episode, basically about drugs, against drugs. Like it's during the time of, like just saying no to drugs, that kind of thing. And it really, as off the wall as it is, it really it does have heart, and it teaches you some things about school and peer pressure kind of thing, and fitting in, and how to resolve your problems, and all these problems they relate to each other. If it's something that happens with the mom and the husband, or something with the neighbors, the kids kind of seem to mirror that and have kind of like similar problem, and they all resolve it together. It doesn't continue on to the next episode, or stretch out throughout half the season, or and then doesn't get resolved until the final episode of the season. Nothing like that. If there's a problem in the episode, it will get resolved by the end of it, and you feel good about it too. And sometimes it even ends very abruptly. So I love this show, and I'm really hoping and praying it does release on Blue. Now, this is Lathe of Heaven. It's been a long time since I've seen this one. I rented it once, I want to say at least 15 to 20 years ago, from the library, and that was my first time seeing it. I did not see it back in 1980, but my brother had rented this one and introduced it to me, and I absolutely love this one. This one is, as far as I can remember, Bruce Davison has this weird ability where when he sleeps and dreams, the next day his dreams become a reality. So he sees this doctor, and by the way, when he puts him to sleep, I do remember the key word, the code word to snap him out of it, Antwerp, right? I cannot snap, but snap Antwerp, it's Antwerp, and it gets him out of it. So there's the world basically just metamorphosizes, or transcends, or just whatever it morphs and changes, and the only one that seems to notice these changes are Bruce Davison and the doctor, and I suppose because he's within the vicinity. I guess if you're within that same room with him, then you won't really be too much affected. I could be wrong on that, though. Maybe the doctor was affected, or eventually got affected. As I said, it has been a very long time since I've seen it. But basically, one of the dreams was like aliens coming to Earth, and I think like invading and taking over, so you kind of see that. Again, this is 1980s, made-for-TV show. Don't expect spectacular special effects. You don't see anything like ID4. The aliens are very cheesy looking. I think maybe you only see one of them. But it was very effective, and you don't care about that because and well, I know, and you'll know, if you came from that time. But if you're like a younger person, just kind of understand that it is a product of its time, and just kind of alter your thoughts to the 1980s, and think in terms of that, and then you'll accept it. You'll accept the effects and why things look the way they do, and the aliens look the way they do. But some ideas here, to me, are also kind of above its time, ahead of its time. Same thing goes for Small Wonder. Some things about that were kind of ahead of its time too, for the Small Wonder show. So in a way, this kind of makes a good pairing, right? But with this one, I would say there is a part where he wishes that everyone was treated equally, right? And basically, what happens is all humankind, I'll say, something happens where they are merged So there isn't multi-races anymore. It is just one human race, and I'll leave it at that. That I do remember. Um, and that's another thing too. I know a lot of people nowadays, because I guess with these younger folks, I don't know what we are with Generation Z, X. I don't know. I don't keep up with those terminology. What is what? But I'm an '80s person and 1990s person, '80s and '90s kid, I should say, and whatever generation you want to call that. But whatever the younger generations, the people that don't know the 80s or even 90s, will think that just because of the time they've come up in, and I guess it's like that saying, those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it, however that goes. So they weren't around for that. So they think that maybe before, the 2020 and the Black Lives Matter kind of thing, everyone was racist before that, and only now are we exposed to accepting other races and things like that, and how people are. But no, these things the change has already been there, even, in the 80s and 90s. I even go so far as to say even 70s, right? Because they talk about subjects like that, about people who are different. There was a deaf kid in here, and they talked about they bring awareness to, how, with deaf people, you can speak to them normally. They can read lips. You don't have to speak loudly at them, and they'll understand you, and just to treat them like a person and not to use someone, to try, for personal gain kind of thing. So that's what I love about these shows, these older shows. They don't seem to do that anymore. Back then there seemed to be like a lesson, and they taught you something, different strokes to, different strokes with Gary Coleman, right? Mr. Drummond, right? From the show. There was one where it brought awareness to child molesters. There was a child molesting episode where it was Arnold and his friend. They went into, I think it was a bike shop, and that guy was a child molester. So it brought awareness. These are subjects that have existed back during those days in the 80s and 90s, my days. So they're nothing new. But and same thing with the racism and treating people equally. That is not a new concept or anything. It's something that has existed long ago, and it's not like, it's been discovered in the year 2015 and 2020, and now we're all equal. No. But the other thing I was saying is that the shows nowadays don't seem to have those kind of lessons. They don't inject those kind of good lessons like they did before. But again, you can't quite do it now because it's already been done. It would look kind of strange, like I said, this is a product of its time, these old shows. But anyways, I'm getting a little bit off subject. I think I'm going to end this. I'm begging and praying that some label picks up, Small Wonder to release it on Blu-ray, the complete collection. And we need, The Lathe of Heaven, this 1980s one starring Bruce Davison, to come out on Blu-ray and give it a much better restoration than that early 2000 DVD one. Okay, so that is it. I hope you all enjoyed. It is, well, now it's now 12:31 a.m. So it's now May 23, 2025. Okay, so see you.